All right, let's roll, nerds. Sir, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to a year in jail because of the high blow. So you're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. Wait a second, Brian or Ramiro?
Brian Martinez.
Oh, I see that you also have a Ramiro Martinez.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir. Okay.
On August 12th, 2024, a little bit after midnight, officers were dispatched to a Jack in the Box regarding a verbal disturbance. They conducted a traffic stop on a vehicle matching the description on the call, as well as for the vehicle failing to maintain a single lane with a vehicle following the suspect vehicle and another vehicle to his right. So he's failing to maintain a single lane while there's other vehicles around. The defendant was
You
ID'd.
said there was another reason. What was the other one?
The Jack in the Box called in regarding a disturbance at the drive-thru.
Got it.
The driver was identified as the defendant. Officers noticed the third speech, red, watery, bloodshot eyes, poor balance, and an odor of alcohol in his breath. He advised that he was leaving the Jack in the Box due to a disagreement and that he had been drinking and smoking earlier. They conducted the standard field sobriety tests, 6 of 6 for the HGN, 3 of 8 for the walk and turn, 1 of 4 for the one leg stand. Officers are at the DIC. Defendant consented to breath. Levels were 0.235 and 0.239. And then defendant also had a prior DWI arrest out of Tarrant County from 2019. But I don't know that we couldn't determine the disposition of that case.
Is this an open case, Mr. Martinez?
It's still open, Judge.
It's still open.
So yes, this is the first.
Mr. Martinez, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm ordering you now not to drive at all. Do you understand? I'm also now giving you a curfew. You're not allowed to be out past 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And I'm going to put a monitor on your ankle so I know that you're not out and about. You have an open DWI and now you've picked up another DWI. I'm going to put an ankle monitor on you also on your other ankle so I know that you're not consuming alcohol. One false move, I will deem you a public danger, make your bond $150,000, and I don't care who is kicking and screaming, crying. My only concern is public safety, and you now have 2 open DWIs. I will do everything in my power to protect the public. Do you understand? If you drive, I will have a contempt hearing. You'll be facing an additional 6 months in jail and a $500 fine every time your happy-go-lucky butt gets into a car and drives. Rachel, hi. So
Okay.
on one ankle, he gets a GPS monitor with a curfew. On the other one, he gets a scram, waive the fees. Okay. We need to do guardian interlock paperwork. I'm ordering. You're not allowed to.
He currently resides, he lives in Fort Worth. He does not live here. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to affect GPS or the scram. The scram is probably not going to affect
His
it.
GPS works nationwide.
Okay.
So
Sure.
it doesn't matter where he is. You must abide by the curfew. I don't care where you are. I don't care what you're doing. The worst possible thing you can do in this life, Mr. Martinez, is get into our car and drive. And I will know because I can triangulate the scram device with your GPS monitor to see if you are in a car. And I'll tell you now, you get into a car and drive for any reason. I don't care. You cannot justify if there's a burning building and you have to save 50 people. You cannot get into a car and drive, and you will be guaranteed a substantial amount of jail if you drive. Do you understand?
I'm not sure how it works in terms of getting those devices, whether they're immediately available or not.
Well,
Okay.
we're going to send him down now so that he can get everything. They'll have it available. Mr. Martinez, heed my warning. Do not use alcohol. Do not use any dope. You understand? You will not get any more warnings from me. Are you a citizen of the United States? Are you in this country with or without permission? What happens if you go to jail?
I can get immigration.
What?
I can get Immigration, pick me up.
You will sit in custody because immigration will put a detainer on you. Your butt will be in jail for the next 6 to 9 months, waiting for immigration to deport you. That's what happens if you go to jail. Any more than 4 hours, they sweep the jail. Every 6 to 12 hours, they sweep the jail looking for people who are in there that are undocumented. And when they find them, they put a detainer on you. And you get stuck in custody until this case is over with. And then once this case is over with, you get shipped to immigration. And then, do you think anything fast happens in immigration? It takes about 9 months just to resolve a hearing in immigration court. And you sit in jail that entire time. You best be on your best behavior. Otherwise, I'm gonna light you up. You understand? All right. Come on up. We'll have you sign all these documents. Marcos, we'll waive his appearance.
Appreciate
But
that,
just
Judge. Thank you.
keep a watchful eye. There's no more warnings. You Johnny Harrison. Mr. Harrison, you're charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. You're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Officers observed the defendant failing to maintain a single lane and braking in the middle of the road for no apparent reason. A traffic stop was initiated. The officers observed red eyes, slurred speech, and an odor of an alcoholic beverage. The defendant stated he had consumed 1 beer and standard filter sobriety tests were conducted. HGN was 6 out of 6. The defendant advised he had neuropathy in both feet and thus did not perform the walk and turn or one-leg stand. During the inventory of the vehicle, officers discovered 2 bottles of vodka in the car, 1 empty and 1 half full, and a cup with an alcoholic mixture next to the center console of the car.
So alcohol in the car while driving?
Yes, Your Honor. And the defendant was read the DIC and consented to breath. The results were 0.227 and 0.226.
Mr. Harrison, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm now ordering you as a condition of your bond not to drive any vehicle. Do you understand? Because it's a second offense, I'm also ordering you to obtain a handheld interlock device that you're going to take with you everywhere you go to prove to me that you're not consuming alcohol. If I find that you're consuming alcohol, I'm going to put you in jail. You will not get any more PR bonds. I'm going to advise you now that I'm sending notice to DPS that they're aware that any vehicle you drive is supposed to have an interlock. So if you're caught driving a vehicle and it doesn't have an interlock on it, they will put you in jail and then you're in violation of these conditions. Do you understand?
Sorry, I have a question.
Shoot.
This, that's a thing where I had that before. And I didn't do well with the interlock because I had to keep changing my battery. Like it kept killing my battery. So I got in trouble the first time. So they gave me that thing where I had to blow into it. I did it like 3 times a day.
You're not allowed to drive from this day forth. Do not drive. You will be signing an affidavit with me today promising me you're not going to drive. You will get a handheld portable device that you're taking with you everywhere you go to prove to me that you're not consuming alcohol. Do you understand? If you consume alcohol, you will go to jail. No more PR bonds. Do you understand? All right, I'm gonna have you come up, swear to us that you're not gonna drive. I'm gonna get you to Victoria to sign and reset. Eventually you'll get with pre-chopper your bond conditions, and then after that, we'll get you out of here. All right, good morning, Mr. White.
Sir.
Sir, you stand charged with 2 offenses. You're charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. You're also charged with failure to stop and give information. On the DWI, you're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. On your other case, you're facing up to 6 months in jail. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On January 1st, 2025, officers were dispatched to a major crash at the intersection of Westheimer and Synott Street. Officer made contact with the complainant. The complainant stated she was driving and she was at the intersection when the light was green. She proceeded through the intersection, saw the defendant's vehicle run a red light at a high rate of speed, and the defendant's vehicle was struck by the complainant. The damage to the complainant's vehicle was approximately $9,000. The complainant stated she was never contacted by the defendant to exchange information. The officer made contact with the defendant and observed glossy eyes, slurred speech, a moderate odor of an alcoholic beverage, and unsteady balance. The officer also observed swaying and disorientation. The defendant stated he was driving his motor vehicle when the other motor vehicle struck his, that he was the sole occupant of his vehicle, and that he was driving the damaged motor vehicle that the officers observed on scene. The defendant admitted to consuming alcoholic beverages prior to operating his motor vehicle, that he was coming from a steakhouse and was on his way to his friend's home to sleep, that he had drank 3 bottles of beer at a gas station across the street from the scene, and that the defendant stated he did not consume illegal drugs that night. He also stated he was unsure of which street he was on and rated his intoxication as a 5 from a scale of 1 to 10. The defendant stated he parked his motor vehicle, was going to walk to an apartment complex where the officer stopped him to tell his friends to call the police, and that he could have called the police given that the officers observed the defendant's phone on him. Center field sobriety tests were administered, HGN 6 out of 6, walk and turn 4 out of 8, 1 leg stand 3 out of 4. The defendant was read the DIC and refused. A blood search warrant was signed and executed.
Did you want to say something?
Judge, I'm not sure about the court, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about leaving the scene. It sounds like.
I didn't hear
I
anything.
didn't hear anything on piece.
You didn't say anything about the FSGI.
So on the FSGI, the complainant stated she was never contacted to exchange information. After, and then also furthermore, I can read from the complaint.
He stayed there, right?
No, Your Honor. So allow me to read from the full.
You got to leave.
So he was found at a gas complex where apartment complex where he was stopped, and that's where he made contact with the officers. And the full DIMS I can elucidate
Okay,
that.
so he wasn't
at the
scene of the accident.
No, Your Honor. He was later found at an apartment complex. That's where he was stopped, and he told the officers that he could have called police because they observed the phone on him.
Did he say how far?
Let me see the DMs if I can see.
And Judge, he's bonded on both cases. I mean, there's plenty of room for us to negotiate and work with the state on this. I mean, it may very well be.
I just want to make sure that, if he's charged with an offense, there's enough probable cause, and
From Dems is about 5 pages long.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. They say the distance, just that they made contact with him at the apartment.
where? At the apartment or?
There's an apartment complex where they stopped him. That was not the scene, and that's where they found him, and they saw him with his phone on him, and that's where they made contact and asked him if he could have called police, and he said he could have, and that he was walking to that apartment to get his friend to call the police.
And Judge, we have both locations of where the crash occurred and where he was found. If you could give me a moment, I can get the exact distance.
If that's the case.
I have a lot of problems here.
I have an identification question then, if that's the.
I have-
both cases.
He goes to the gas station, he's drinking at the gas station.
Yes, Judge, and because he did state he drank at the gas station across from the scene, and then
Do we know if he started drinking after the accident? Before the accident? Did the officer ask?
well, he did state that he drank prior to the accident because he was at a steakhouse, is what he said.
Right. You have no distance on as far as where he was from.
Locations, and we can find the distance. If you just give us a moment, we can see how far the two locations are.
Well, I am going to go forward with your, I'm going to find that there's enough probable cause to go forward on the driving while intoxicated. Have you run his license, see if he has a valid Texas driver license?
Yes, Judge, his license is eligible.
Okay, I'm now placing a restriction on your license, Mr. White. You are not allowed to drive any vehicle that doesn't have an ignition interlock on it. If you're caught driving a vehicle that doesn't have an interlock, I'm going to revoke your bond. I will put you in jail. I am ordering you also as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. If we find that you're consuming alcohol or any illegal drugs, likewise, you will go to jail. No more PR bonds. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, you have a lawyer. Because you have a lawyer, I will waive your appearance so you don't have to waste your time coming to court, but you must stay in touch with Mr. DeLeaf and he'll tell you when you have to come back to court. If Peter tells me that he can't get a hold of you because you're playing games, then I will again issue a warrant for your arrest.
Your Honor, so it's 0.3 miles, and furthermore, upon reading the OR, there were bystanders on the scene that told the officers that they identified him as walking towards the apartment complex and failing to give information from the crash. So we have 0.3 miles, and a bystander saw him walking from the scene of the crash towards the apartment complex.
I will now, I'm going to find probable cause for now.
Okay,
Peter,
for
if
now-
if you find something that's different later on, come
Okay,
back, we
approach.
can always talk.
Yes, sir.
You are also not allowed to drive unless you have liability insurance in your name on whatever car you're driving. We are sending notice now to DPS that you're required to have an interlock. So every officer in the state is going to know if you're caught driving a vehicle and it doesn't have an interlock, they're going to take you to jail. Do you understand? Okay, so I'll have you sign reset with Victoria. We'll have you get with Fleischer for your bond conditions, and after that, you're free to go. Okay, guys.
Appreciate
Take
it.
care.
Buenos días, nomás escuchen pues y conteste voz alta, por favor.
I don't think that, I don't know if have we found probable cause on this first case? Or I mean, on the new case? Let me express my extreme disappointment, Mr. Gavara Ortiz. You now stand charged with yet another DWI. On this one, you're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On January 19th, 2025, at 11:43 p.m., the officer was dispatched due to a concerned citizen following a possible intoxicated driver. The call was near Northborough in Houston County, Harris County, Texas. The officer arrived at a public place and observed the defendant, the driver, and sole occupant of the vehicle. And the witness stated the defendant was observed to have severe damage to the front passenger side, and he struggled to stay in its lane several times. The witness had eyes on the defendant until the officer arrived, and the officer made contact with the defendant, who advised that he had 3 Coronas and was coming from a gas station where he purchased the beers while driving home.
So drinking while,
No, Your Honor, there's no indication of that. He just purchased while driving home. And the officer observed glossy eyes, delayed responses, and a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage. The officer conducted standard field sobriety tests, HGN 6 out of 6. The defendant refused the walk and turn and one-leg stand due to the cold temperatures. The defendant was read the DIC and consented to breath. The results were 0.189 and 0.177.
Mr. Gavara Ortiz, I'm going to find that there's enough probable cause to go forward with your case, and I am now going to revoke your bond on your first case, and I'm going to set it at 10,001. You now also have an immigration detainer, so you will be stuck in there, I guess, until I need to know, counsel, if you guys are planning on trying to get him an immigration bond or not.
Your Honor, we don't represent him on the immigration case, but it's my understanding from Mr. Breston that there's an effort to address that.
Okay. You're signing on for Mr. Breston now, right?
Yeah, I work for him. Yes, sir.
Got it. All right. Mr. Gavara Ortiz, I'm now ordering you to have an ankle monitor on your ankle, and I'm giving you a curfew of 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I'm going to put a scram ankle monitor on you so I know that you're not consuming alcohol. On your other ankle, you will get a GPS monitor. I don't know if you're getting out of custody, but if you do get out of custody, these will be your bond conditions. You will have on one ankle, like I said, a scram monitor, so I know that you're not consuming alcohol. On your other, you will get a GPS monitor, so I know that you're abiding by curfew. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess we'll set you out for 30 days. Just keep us in the loop. If you are able to get an immigration bond, you must be here the next business day. If you fail to do so, I'm going to revoke both of your bonds and set them extremely high. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Ms. Keys. Ma'am, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. It's elevated to a Class A misdemeanor because of the high blow. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, ma'am.
On January 18th, 2025, the officer observed the vehicle failing to drive in a single lane on West Grand Parkway in Harris County, Texas. The defendant was swerving in and out of 2 lanes and came close to crashing into another vehicle in the next lane. A traffic stop was conducted, and the officer made contact with the defendant, the driver of the vehicle. The officer observed disorientation, a moderate odor of an alcoholic beverage, and slurred speech. The defendant could not provide ID or insurance, and the officer observed an open container of alcohol on the floorboard next to her feet. The defendant stated she had not consumed alcohol, and the officer observed slow movements and unsteadiness on her feet. Standard filter break-ins were conducted, HGN 6 out of 6, walk and turn 8 out of 8, one leg stand 2 out of 4. The defendant was read the DIC and consented to breath. The results were 0.290 and 0.294.
So are you telling me that she had alcohol in the car while she's driving?
There was an open container on the floorboards.
Did you put any other indicators like it's cold or?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Keys, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. Do you understand, ma'am? I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're using, I will revoke your bond, put you in jail, ma'am. No more PR bonds. Have you run your license, Alex?
I'll run it right now, Your Honor.
Please. And any prior DWIs?
There are no priors, but there is a pending one out of Austin County, it appears.
She has a pending DWI in Austin County?
Yes, Judge.
I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to drive any vehicle whatsoever for any reason. You will be signing an affidavit with me today promising me that you're not going to drive. If I find that you do, I can have a contempt hearing every single time you drive. It's an offense in and of itself, punishable by up to 6 months in jail and a $500 fine every single time. I am now going to put an ankle monitor on you so I know that you're not consuming, and I'm also giving you a curfew of 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. On your other ankle, you're going to get a GPS monitor. Stop. I don't want you to talk about the case. I can provide you a lawyer today, but if they're telling me that you have an open DWI and now you picked up another one, I have a big problem with that. I was going to provide you a lawyer today, ma'am, if you would like, a court-appointed lawyer. Did you want a court-appointed lawyer? I will provide you a lawyer today. Ms. Keys, if you have a problem with alcohol, I'm giving you the opportunity now to address it on your own. If you do not, I'm going to do it for you, and I promise you're not going to like the way that I do it. Do you understand, ma'am?
Yes.
I'm going to do everything in my power to protect my public at all cost. Every single day, someone dies from a DWI in our county. I need you to fill out an application for me, or you know what? Hold on a second, maybe I have. Vic, I have an application on file already. So if you just want to appoint her a lawyer, I'm going to have you sign a receipt with Victoria. You will meet with Fleischer for your bond conditions, and after that, we'll have you take a seat while I'm your lawyer. I'm going to have you sign a reset. After that, you'll get with Fleischer for your bond conditions. After that, I'll have you take a seat while I find your lawyer. Please.
No driving affidavit?
Oh, yeah, no driving affidavit. Right. Like you were charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. You were facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. Give the right to have an attorney present if you cannot afford one. One will be appointed to you, ma'am.
Yes, Judge. On January 18th, 2025, the officer observed the defendant's vehicle stopped and impeding the moving lane of traffic, with other vehicles having to honk and go around on the 2300 block of Bagby Street. The officer honked and used sirens multiple times to get the driver's attention, but the defendant chose to ignore him even after the passenger advised the defendant that the officer was attempting to get her attention. A traffic stop was then conducted, and the officer observed slurred speech, glossy eyes, and a strong odor of alcoholic beverage. The defendant admitted she drank 2 beers while at a memorial in downtown area, and the officer had the defendant exit the vehicle and observed unsteadiness on her feet. The defendant refused to answer anything else and was uncooperative on the scene. At JPC, standard filter break-ins were conducted, HGN 6 out of 6, walk and turn 7 out of 8, one leg stand 3 out of 4. The defendant was read the DIC and refused breath. A blood search warrant was signed and executed.
And I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. You have a valid Texas driver license.
It's eligible, Your Honor.
I am now placing a restriction on your license. You are not allowed to drive any vehicle that's not equipped with an ignition interlock on it. If you're caught driving a vehicle that doesn't have an interlock, you will go to jail because I will revoke your bond. You're also not to consume,
Whisper or step outside and talk.
not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. And I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're using, likewise, you will go to jail, ma'am. I'm sending information to DPS so that every single officer in this state will know if you get pulled over, they will know that you're to have an interlock in your car. So if you're caught driving a vehicle that doesn't have one, they will take you to jail. Do you understand, ma'am? Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer, or would you like a court-appointed lawyer, ma'am? Sorry? You're going to hire a lawyer. Okay. So what we'll do now is I'm going to have you sign a receipt with Victoria. We'll have you meet with Fleischer for your bond conditions. After that, we'll get you out of here. And then when you come back, please have a lawyer. Okay.
Right this way.
You are Miss Tovar Martinez. Do you speak English?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. Second offense. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, ma'am.
Yes, Judge. On January 20th, 2025, the officer, a certified DRE, was dispatched to the scene of a wreck at a parking lot in Harris County, Texas. The defendant had been refused entry to a bar at the location due to appearing visibly drunk by the staff. A witness stated the defendant was not walking straight and had a hard time standing. The officer observed the defendant trying to back up from the scene of the wreck when he made a stop. The defendant had watery eyes, a strong odor of alcoholic beverage, and furthermore, the defendant was not making any sense when describing what had transpired to the officers. The defendant was transported to Pasadena jail, where Miranda was read and SFSTs were performed. HGN 6 out of 6. Walk and turn. The defendant took 15 steps instead of 9 and missed every heel to toe. In the one leg stand, the defendant used arms and swayed. The DIC was read and the defendant consented to breath. The results were 0.212 and 0.217.
And Ms. Tovar Martinez, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Do you see if she has a valid license, please?
I'll run it right now.
I am now placing a restriction on your license, ma'am. You are not allowed to drive any vehicle that doesn't have an ignition interlock on it. If I find that you drive a vehicle that doesn't have one, I'm going to revoke your bond, put you in jail. No more PR bonds. I am also ordering you not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs, and I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're using anything illegal, likewise, you will go to jail. No more PR bonds for you, ma'am.
Your Honor, we have no license on file.
You do not have a license, then no driving. Do you understand? You will be signing an affidavit with me today, promising you're not going to drive, and I don't care what is going on in your life. Do not drive. Since I'm ordering you not to drive, you will get a handheld interlock device that you're going to take with you everywhere you go to prove to us that you're not consuming alcohol, man. I'm sending notice to DPS in Austin that every single officer in the state will know that if you get pulled over, you're supposed to have an interlock in your car. So if you're caught driving a vehicle that doesn't have one, they're going to put you in jail. Do you understand? Would you like a lawyer today, ma'am? Okay, so for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you go to Victoria, sign a reset. You will get with Fleischer for bond conditions, and then I'll have you take a seat in the jury box while we try to find you a lawyer, ma'am. You are Cory Bob.
Sir.
Mr. Bob, you're charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you.
Yes, Judge. On January 24th, 2025, at 10:13 p.m., officers were dispatched to a major crash on Irving Boulevard in Harris County, Texas. The defendant ran a red light and another vehicle struck the back left rear of his vehicle, and officers arrived on scene and saw the defendant sitting in the driver's seat with keys in his pocket and the engine running. The officer observed the defendant to be unsteady on his feet with an odor of an alcoholic beverage. The officer then observed the defendant to be unsteady on his feet and needing help walking at times. Furthermore, they observed red glossy eyes, slurred speech, and a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage. The defendant stated he was coming from a club and was heading home. The defendant stated he had 3 to 4 drinks, and standard field sobriety tests were then conducted. HGM 6 out of 6, walk and turn 5 out of 8, one leg stand 3 out of 4. A search was conducted on the defendant's vehicle, and the officers found a 1/5 full bottle of whiskey in the passenger seat in a bag, and the defendant consented to breath, and the results were 0.175 and 0.162.
Are you telling me that he's consuming alcohol allegedly while driving?
There's no indication of being cold to the touch or anything, just 1/5 full on the passenger seat.
What was it?
A bottle of whiskey.
Right. Mr. Bob, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Can you run his license, please?
It's eligible, Your Honor.
I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're consuming illegal drugs or any kind of alcohol, I will put you in jail. Because it's a second offense, I'm now placing a restriction on your license. You are not allowed to drive any vehicle that doesn't have an ignition interlock on it. If you're caught driving a vehicle that doesn't have an interlock, I'm going to put you in jail. Do you understand? I'm sending notice to DPS in Austin where every single officer now knows that any vehicle that you drive is required to have an interlock. So if you're pulled over and it doesn't have an interlock on it, then they're going to take you to jail. Do you understand? Okay. Marvin Lucius Joseph Mazariegos,
Yes.
you were charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On
Dice.
January 27th, 2025,
2025.
on 11402 North Houston Road, the officer observed the defendant stopped in the intersection facing northbound. The defendant was observed to be asleep behind the wheel of the vehicle, which was running. The gear shift was in drive, and the defendant's foot was on the brake. Multiple attempts were made to contact the driver. None were successful. Houston Fire Department and Emergency Medical Services were contacted, and the vehicle was locked, but responders were able to unlock the doors and put the vehicle in park. The officer observed a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage, bloodshot eyes, and glossy eyes. Standard field sobriety tests were performed back at the station. HGN 4 out of 6, walk and turn 8 out of 8, one leg stand 4 out of 4. The defendant was read the DIC and consented to breath. The results were 0.186 and 0.194.
How many prior DWIs does this gentleman have?
He has one prior, Your Honor.
Have you run an NCIC
Yes, Judge.
license?
I'll run that right now, Your Honor.
No. No. Said no.
No.
He said he doesn't have a license.
Yes, Judge, there's no license on
Dice, no
file.
hay licencia.
Mr. Mazariegos, let me make something perfectly clear to you. That I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to drive any vehicle. I don't care what is going on in your life. I don't care if there's a burning building and you have to save 50 children. If you do not have a license and liability insurance, then you are not allowed to drive. I am now placing an additional restriction on you that I'm going to have you take a portable breath test device with you everywhere you go to prove to me that you're not consuming alcohol. If I find that you consume alcohol, if I find that you use illegal drugs, I will revoke your bond. I'm going to put you in jail. I don't know what your immigration status is, but if you're not in this country with permission and you go to jail any more than 4 hours, immigration sweeps the jail on a daily basis. They will put a detainer on you and you will sit there until this case is over with and then shipped off to immigration.
Denominación.
Do you understand?
Lo entiendo. Conteste palabra. Lo entiende? Yes.
Signing a promise with me that you're not going to drive. I don't
A mí.
care what you're doing. Do not get into a car.
Okay, yes.
I'm sending notice to the Department of Public Safety that every officer in this state will know if you are in a car driving, you are supposed to have an interlock in that car. If they catch you driving a car that doesn't have an interlock, they're going to arrest you and put you in jail.
Tiene el almacenamiento. Van a estar en la slide.
Sí, yo no voy a tener carro ahorita.
I don't have a vehicle at this time.
La máquina portátil está bien.
The portable.
Don't use anyone else's car
El vehículo
don't-
de alguien más.
at all.
Okay.
I'm going to have you come up here, swear to us that you're not going to drive.
Que no.
After that, I'll get you to Victoria. We'll have you sign a reset. After that, you'll get with Fleischer for your bond conditions. Mr. Mazat, sir, do you have a Are you working now?
¿Estás trabajando ahorita?
Sí.
Yes.
What do you do for a living?
Relación.
Remodeling.
Yeah, is that a steady income for you?
¿Trabaja todos los días?
Sí.
Yes.
You have the ability to hire a
¿La
lawyer.
capacidad para ocupar tu propio abogado?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, we will give you time, sir. So I'll have you come up here with all the appropriate documents and then we'll get you out of here. Do not consume alcohol and above all else, do not drive.
Anega.
Okay? Come on. So Laws, you were charged with driving while intoxicated. You are facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. Officers were dispatched to a possible intoxicated driver call, and a witness stated he observed the defendant go in and out of lanes as well as make a U-turn on Highway 59 going against traffic. The officers conducted a traffic stop and observed the defendant to have glossy eyes, slurred speech, strong odor of an alcoholic beverage, poor balance, and a quarter full cold beer. Standard field sobriety tests were conducted, HGN 6 out of 6, walk and turn 7 out of 8, one leg stand 4 out of 4. The defendant consented a breath and the results were 0.15.
Any pride to be eyes?
Oh, Your Honor. And I ran his license one moment. Ineligible, Your Honor.
Okay, he has, you're alleging that he had alcohol in the car, correct?
Yes,
Well,
Judge.
okay, I'm now ordering you not to drive, Mr. Laws. I'm also going, your case is 1,220 days old. I'm now putting an ankle monitor on you as well. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
If you take off on me again, I'm going to make your bond extremely high. No more PR bonds for you. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're consuming alcohol or illegal drugs, I'm going to revoke your bond and put you in jail. Can you please appoint him a lawyer? I'm going to have you come up here, swear to us that you're not going to drive.
Okay.
I'm going to have you swear to us that you're not going to drive, Mr. Laws. Do not drive. Do you understand? I'm going to have you swear to us, and then I'm going to have you take your seat in the jury box while we find you a lawyer, sir.
Right this way.
Matthew Leonard.
Yes, sir.
So Leonard, you're charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir. Okay.
Judge, on 4/12/2023, officers were dispatched.
Hey, yo, hey.
Do not have a story about that right here. On 4/12/2023, officers were dispatched to a crash involving a bus and a car at the 1700 block of Travis Street. Officers made contact with the defendant who was slumped over in the driver's seat of the car. Officers observed the defendant to have red and glassy eyes, strong odor of alcohol in the breath, SS, and slurred speech and incoherent speech. Defendant told officers that he was drinking 211's beer at his house and last drank 2 hours ago. Defendant was taken to the hospital and diagnosed with a minor brain injury. Officers got a blood warrant. There was a blood draw completed at JPC.
Then, so what, do you have the results? Hold on a second, let me see.
No, not yet.
No, Judge, we don't have any blood results
I see
yet.
it.
For some reason, there haven't been any to-dos done on the case. I'll submit them immediately. That's.
Well, it looks like it's because it was a 2B, that's why. So it's from April of 2023. Looks like there was a blood of a point. Yeah, 0.198. Okay, Mr. Leonard, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. Because it's a second offense, I'm now ordering you as a condition of your bond not to drive any vehicle that doesn't have an ignition interlock on it. Miss, can you run his license, see if he has a valid Texas driver license, please? Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer, sir?
How much time can I pass this?
Because I'm in the process of getting my ID and everything, because when I got locked up, I didn't have my wallet. They threw it away or something.
Would you like a lawyer, sir? I can give you a
Yes, sir.
lawyer today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so understand something, Mr. Leonard. I don't want you drinking. I don't want you using illegal drugs. I'm gonna randomly test
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes,
And
sir.
you're gonna have, you show a Texas driver license?
It's all good.
Okay. All right, sir. So what I'm gonna have you do now is I'm gonna have you sign a bunch of paperwork with Victoria, Felicia, and then I'll have you meet with the lawyer here momentarily. Okay,
Yes, sir.
please.
Right this way.
Mr. Martinez, let me tell you, you scare me. It's individuals like you that just don't get it, how dangerous DWIs truly are because you continue to do what you're doing. And you may truly have a problem. I hope that you don't dig yourself such a hole that you will never get out of. But that's what DWIs are. Invariably, if it continues, at some point, you may eventually kill someone. It's not fair. Don't. If you're going to drink, if you're going to get lit, if you're going to have 32 beers, stay the flip home. If you have to go out, take an Uber. Is it so hard? All you have to do is push one button on your phone and someone will take you home. With all the baggage that you have on your record now, if you ever get pulled over and an officer smells even one smidgen of alcohol, they're going to take you in. And from now on, you were looking at a felony offense of 2 to 10 in the penitentiary. So if you don't get it now, perhaps prison is what you need. You're young. You're going to be driving for the next 30 years. Get a clue. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
The only reason I'm doing this now is because you're on probation for the next 2 years in another county. Otherwise, this would not be happening now. Take note and try to better yourself. It's not hard. All we're asking you to do is don't kill someone. Don't get into a car. You're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. You've worked out an agreement. They're offering you 21 days in jail with credit for the 7 days that you've done. You're giving up the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization under federal law. You give up the right to appeal. Once you plead guilty to this offense, it will go on your record. It's going to be there for the rest of your life. Somehow I have to get through to you. What I'm going to do to you now is you will be required to pay the DPS fines and fees of around $4,500. And if you don't pay it, every $100 you owe, you will sit 1 day in jail. Do you understand? I am also suspending your ability to drive for a year. Do not get into a car. If I see you back in here, it's really not going to go well. Do you understand?
Yes, yes.
I'm not asking for much. If you have a problem with alcohol, address it. That's all I'm asking you to do. I'm literally, don't kill someone. How do you plead to the offense of driving while intoxicated? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Is it true or untrue that you had a 0.15 or above? Okay, true to the enhancement. All right, Mr. Martinez, make us proud. That's all we're asking you to do. All right, let's see the clerk.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
May I excuse me?
Yeah, yeah. 2-year payment plan. Good morning, Mr. Osborne.
How you doing?
What's new?
Sorry?
What's new?
Oh,
Here we go.
just, the same old is new.
I feel you. I feel your pain. You are Miss Auma.
Sir.
Ma'am, you are charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, ma'am.
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
On February 25th, officers were dispatched to a minor crash with a disturbance at the 1000 block Upland Drive in Harris County, Texas. The officers made contact with two witnesses. The second witness stated she was driving her Lexus north on Upland Drive when the defendant, the sole occupant of the vehicle, was driving her black Camry south in the northbound lane. The witness stated she slowed down, honked to alert the defendant, and crashed into her car in front of him while going north. The first witness stated he was in the southbound lane and was stopped waiting to enter the service road, and the defendant driving her Camry struck the Lexus, and after the two motor vehicles crashed, the defendant swerved right and then ran into the back of the Chevy Blazer the first witness was driving. The first witness stated the defendant appeared to be looking down like she was slumped over, and the first witness approached the motor vehicle and the defendant appeared drunk. The defendant tried to drive off and the first witness was telling her to stop and wait. The second witness corroborated the first witness' statement and stated she could smell a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage and that the defendant was drunk. The officer made contact with the defendant and the defendant stated she was driving her car, had left home, and was on the way to the hospital for her ulcers. The defendant stated she was on the right lane going south and a lady in an SUV was going north in her lane. The defendant stated she swerved over and hit another car. She tried to exchange information and get off the roadway, but was not trying to leave the scene and only wanted to move the cars into the parking lot on the west side of the road. The officer observed a moderate odor of an alcoholic beverage, glossy eyes, slurred speech, and swaying. The defendant was within normal parameters regarding her vital signs per Houston Fire Department, and standard field sobriety tests were then conducted. HGN 6 out of 6, walk and turn 5 out of 8, one leg stand 3 out of 4. The defendant was read the DIC and consented to blood.
All right. So we have a DWI here. Any more DWIs anywhere else? If you run her and say, see, please.
She only had a previous out of 2022 here in court 5, but that's the only one, Your Honor.
Does she have a valid Texas driver license?
It's not eligible, Your Honor.
It's not eligible. I want to make something perfectly clear to you, Ms. Auma. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to drive any vehicle whatsoever for any reason unless you have a valid Texas driver license and liability insurance. I'm also placing a restriction on your license that you're not to drive any vehicle that's not equipped with an ignition interlock. I'm sending notice to DPS in Austin so that every single police officer knows if you're caught driving a vehicle and it doesn't have an interlock in it, they will arrest you and put you in jail. Do you understand? And then I'm going to revoke this bond here as well. You will be signing an affidavit with me today. Counselor, did you want to add something?
I managed the law. That's incorrect. The cop did not say moderate. He said mild. Or about.
Sure.
Yeah, Judge, a minor automobile accident and a mild odor of alcohol is not any kind of probable cause for intoxication. I believe what happened was the police officer noted she had a prior conviction and then jumped to conclusions and ran everything backward from there.
Well, we have witnesses who say that she's possibly intoxicated. They do field sobriety tests. The field sobriety tests indicate that she's intoxicated or potentially intoxicated. So that's when they do the blood test. This is just a mere probable cause hearing. We have someone who's got indicia of intoxication, slurred speech, odor of alcohol, crashes into 2 different cars, fails 3 different field sobriety tests. You've got 2 other witnesses that say that she's possibly intoxicated, who they're on the scene and see it. There's more than enough to go forward for probable cause purposes. Beyond a reasonable doubt, I don't know. That's why we wait for the evidence to come in. But I think that there's certainly sufficient probable cause to go forward. They say you don't have a license, so you may not drive at all for any reason. I don't care what your justification is. I don't care if Bambi has to go to the hospital. You need to save 30 kittens. A kid needs to go to the, you cannot justify getting into a car for any reason. Do you understand? This is an affidavit that you're going to be signing today, promising me you're not going to drive. And if I find that you do, I can have a contempt hearing. You can be facing an additional 6 months of jail and a $500 fine every time you drive because it's an offense in and of itself. Do you understand? Because you don't have a license, because we're ordering you not to drive, I am now ordering you to obtain a portable breath test device that you're going to take with you everywhere you go to prove to us that you're not consuming alcohol. You're not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, unprescribed controlled medication, and we will randomly test you as well. Now, good job on having a lawyer. Because you have one, I will waive your appearance, but it is your responsibility to stay in touch with them. If they tell me they can't get a hold of you because you're playing games and you're dodging phone calls, whatnot, I will issue a warrant for your arrest. All I'm trying to do is protect my city at all costs, and I will do it however I can. Do you understand? If that means putting you in jail because you become a public danger, I'm going to do it in a heartbeat. So for now, what I'm going to have you do is I will have you come up here, swear to us that you're not going to drive. Then I will get you to Victoria, where we'll have you sign a reset. You will get with Felicia for your bond conditions, and after that, you guys are free to go. All right?
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, guys. Thank you, sir. Good morning, Mr. Lazo.
Good morning.
Today's going to cost you big.
Le va a costar muy grande.
Get ready.
Prepare.
It's going to cost you big today, Mr. Lazo.
Voy, señor Lazo.
You're charged of driving while intoxicated, second offense. You're also charged of failure to stop and give information. Shh.
Dar información.
You have worked out an agreement where they're offering you 1 year in Harris County Jail to be probated for 18 months. You must do a thinking for a change, 4 victim impact panels, a repeat offender DWI education class. You must also do a TRAS, which is an evaluation to see if other conditions must be added. If they add other conditions, you must complete them. No breath test refusal, meaning that if you're pulled over in a car, an officer asks you to submit a breath test, you must do it. No drugs, no alcohol, guardian interlock, $500 restitution paid to the first complaining witness, $900 restitution paid to the next complaining witness, 3 days in Harris County Jail as a condition.
Yeah.
What day to begin? The
21st.
You said March 21st?
El 21 de marzo va a comenzar.
You need to understand that this now makes 2 DWIs that are going on your record. What happens on the next one?
Con la próxima. Like what?
If you ever pick up another DWI,
No, por
what
manejar
kind of sentence will you be facing?
ya estaría enfrentando.
Pues no sé, sería más grande, pero ya no pienso manejar y tomar.
Well, I don't know, it
No,
would be bigger than this, but I'm not planning on driving and drinking and driving.
Do you know how many times I've heard that,
¿Cuántas veces yo oí,
Mr. Lazo?
no Lazo?
Sí, a otros yo sé que lo dicen, pero yo sí lo cumplo.
Stop. I want you to listen.
Quiero que ustedes
Do you know how many times people have told me, I'm never going to do it again?
voy a volver a hacerlo otra vez.
Do you know how many times?
¿Sabe cuántas veces?
You never
Usted
know what happens in the future.
sucede en el
There's a
futuro.
death in the family.
Hay una
Your
muerte en la
wife cheats
familia, su
on
esposa,
you. You lose a son or a daughter.
un hijo, una
You
hija,
never know what happens
¿qué es lo que va a suceder?
that will cause you
Que podría
to do
causar
something
que usted
that you
haga algo
wouldn't
que no
normally
hubiese hecho
do.
normalmente.
You need to understand
Tiene
that from now on,
que de ahora en
if you
adelante,
ever pick up another DWI,
otro,
you will be facing a felony
estaría
charge,
enfrentando un cargo
minimum of
mayor
2
perdón,
years in
de
prison,
2 años,
a maximum of 10
máximo
years
10 años.
in prison.
10 años.
And you
Y
don't
usted,
have to be falling down stupid drunk to
borracho,
pick up a felony.
para que le den,
The only thing that needs to happen is you in a car, you get pulled over,
que no paran.
just the odor of
El
alcohol.
olor de alcohol,
An officer is going to look at your record
que va a mirar su expediente,
and they will make assumptions.
va a presumir,
And then you will possibly be facing a felony charge.
inventando un delito mayor.
So if I were you,
Así que si yo
I
fuera
would
usted,
never,
yo jamás,
ever,
jamás
if you've had a sip of
hubiera
alcohol,
tenido un
get
tipo de
into a
alcohol
car.
en un carro.
Do you understand?
¿Entiende?
Sí, yo lo entiendo.
Yes, I understand.
There is also a $6,000 surcharge
Su cargo de $6,000
that you will be required to pay on this case.
en este caso.
because it's a second DWI.
Que es
I
seguro,
told you that it was going to cost you big.
va a costar.
And I will tell you now,
Y le digo,
if you don't pay it,
que si no lo paga,
every $100 that you owe,
$100
you will sit one day in jail.
ya en la cárcel.
So you can imagine,
Así que imagínate.
because with court costs, you're probably going to owe around $6,500 to $6,600. You can probably guess how long it will take in jail to satisfy $6,600 at $100 per day.
$1,600 a $100 al día.
Es bastante. Sí.
Yes, I know, it's quite a bit.
Somehow, we have to get through to you
Ustedes,
so that you understand
para que usted entienda
this is unacceptable.
esto, no.
The only thing we are trying to
Lo
do
único que estamos
is
tratando
prevent someone from dying,
de alguien,
because every day someone dies on our road
alguien muere en nuestras
from an
carreteras,
intoxication case.
alguien que está ebrio,
You are giving up the right to a trial,
tiene su derecho,
right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf,
tenga su
confront and cross-examine your accusers.
carrera.
If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported,
Podría ser
excluded from the country,
deportado,
denied naturalization under federal law. You give up the right to appeal.
su derecho a apelar.
Once you accept
Ya
this,
cuando
you're
acepta este acuerdo,
stuck with us until you successfully complete it, or you get revoked by non-compliance. Now,
ahora,
if you test positive for alcohol,
pasan positivas de
you
alcohol,
do something to violate this probation, like pick up a new case.
casos
You
nuevos,
do not do your classes on time.
clases, no terminan las clases a tiempo.
If you fail to pay restitution to the complaining witnesses, then I will issue a warrant for your arrest.
Una orden.
And on a probation violation, you're looking at you're looking at an entire year
Mira,
in jail.
año completo en la cárcel.
Do you
¿Lo
understand?
entiende?
Sí, sí lo entiendo.
Yes, yes, I do understand.
How do you plead to this offense, guilty or not guilty?
Culpable o no culpable.
Pues soy culpable. Pues.
Well, I'm guilty.
I'm going to find you guilty and send you to the agreement.
Sentencio.
So in this case, as part of the plea bargain,
Parte.
you're also charged with failure to stop and give information, which is leaving the scene of an accident.
Dice
And
de-
here we have two people that were,
bueno,
or two different, I guess,
Vehicles that were
vehicles that were,
damaged, yes.
que sufrieron daño.
They were both struck by the defendant, yes.
any injuries?
Bueno, a los dos.
No, Your Honor.
Me pregunta si hubieron lesiones físicas, dice que no, su señoría.
We were lucky that no one was injured.
Tiene suerte que
Lazo.
nadie se lastimó,
Oh.
señor.
Because it's a second offense, I have to suspend your
Okay.
license.
Tengo su licencia.
I'm going to do it for a year. Because you're not able to drive, you will get a portable device that you will take with you so that we know that you're not consuming alcohol.
Para asegurarnos que no está consumiendo alcohol.
Do you have a portable device now?
I'm not sure. Let me double check, Judge. I believe it may be a scram, but let me verify.
Pagaste suma de-
Well, I have
Whatever.
this.
He has
So
scram on his
what we'll
leg.
do is, once you get the portable device,
Anything este aparato por
I will give you an order to remove your ankle monitor.
quiten.
I have been paying for your ankle monitor now.
Pagando por ese
I cannot pay for your portable device while you're on the probation. You will be responsible for that payment.
Eres responsable por ese pago.
We will give you a sufficient amount of time to pay.
Ponte tiempo
I can give you a 2-year,
para dar
3-year payment plan.
pago de un plan de pago de 2 o 3 años. Okay.
How much is it?
Yo estaba pagando.
The total that you will be required to pay is $6,445.
$145.
And we can do that.
Correo.
So that's around 200 and, you're doing it, how many months?
For 16 months.
This is, oh, it's 18 months. Yeah, so it's,
It's a green card code. So he's in the white card already. That's what it is.
I have
Like
358.
have a green card. He's president.
Did you do 16 or did you do 18?
16.
It's 18-month probation.
But the first month is our important, and then they like to have the fees by the last month, so we only do it by 16 months.
Got it, okay. If you need more time to pay,
Más tiempo para
we can always give you more time to pay.
Podemos dar más tiempo.
If you ever have any issues, all you need to do is come back and talk with us
Hay que hacer
and we
venir a
can
hablar con
work
nosotros.
through anything.
Podemos trabajar
The
en
worst possible thing you can do is just take off.
irse, not pay.
No,
No.
the worst possible thing you can do is just take off
Eres
and
ir
not do anything,
y no
because then
porque entonces
100% a warrant will issue.
100%
But if you have any problems, come
porque el problema
communicate with us and we can always work through any issues.
arreglar cualquier
But I'm going to tell you now,
Pero le digo,
if I find that you're consuming alcohol, we will have a really
tendrá
big
un
problem.
problema bien grande.
Not to
Usted no
consume
puede consumir,
and you're not to drive
no puede manejar,
unless you have a valid Texas driver license,
gente,
liability insurance,
seguro,
and you have a guardian interlock in the car.
tiene un aparato, un
I'm
aparato en su
telling
carro,
you, if I find that you drive without any of these devices and without our approval,
aparato en su carro,
I will grow horns because I will be so upset.
va a estar tan enojado.
Do you understand?
¿Lo entiende?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. Good luck to you, sir.
Buena suerte, señor.
Waive the supervisory fee, because we'll just have him do all this. Good morning, Ms. Stair. Ma'am, you're charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, ma'am.
Yes, Judge. Officers were dispatched to Fairmont Parkway in Harris County, Texas. And the defendant was arguing with her husband in the parking lot and got into the car and drove off, nearly hitting him and causing him to fall to the ground. Witnesses called the police and officers found the defendant in her vehicle near the exit with the car in drive. The defendant ignored the officer's request to turn the car off, and officers noted slurred speech, red eyes, and unsteady balance, in addition to an odor of an alcoholic beverage. Standard field sobriety tests were conducted, HGN 4 out of 6, and the defendant refused the remainder of tests and was transported to JPC. The DIC was read and the defendant refused. A blood warrant was signed and executed. During an inventory of the vehicle, the officer located 2 stemless wine glasses. The glasses contained a small amount of a red liquid smelling of an alcoholic beverage and showed recent signs of consumption. The defendant's purse was located in the front passenger seat and was stained with the red liquid matching the hue of the liquid in the glasses, still wet and smelled of a fruity alcoholic beverage.
Stair, I'm going to find that there's sufficient probable cause to go forward with the case. I am now ordering you as the condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I am now also taking away your privilege to drive. You are not allowed to drive. Do you understand? If
Yes,
I
sir.
find that you do, I will revoke your bond, put you in jail, and I'm going to make it high. You will be signing an affidavit with me today, promising me you're not going to drive. It doesn't matter what you need to do. Do you understand? Not only that, I'm now placing a restriction on your license that you are not allowed to drive any vehicle that is not equipped with an ignition interlock. I send this order to DPS so that every single officer in this state knows you get pulled over, they'll look you up. They'll see that you need an interlock in your car. And if you're caught driving one that doesn't have one, they will take you to jail. Can you run her NCIC, please?
Yes, Judge. So she only has the one prior from 2000 at a Port 5 DWI, no other prior DWI.
Okay. Do you have the ability to hire a lawyer or would you like to apply
I
for?
would like to apply for a court appointed.
Okay, Deputy Miranda's going to give you an application for an appointed lawyer. I'll have you fill it out and I'll take a look to see whether you qualify. I'm going to have you come up here, swear to us that you're not going to drive. I will get you to Ramona where you will sign a reset. You will get with Fleischer for your bond conditions. I don't know if you have a problem with alcohol or drugs. If you do, now is the time for you to address it. Because if I see it becomes a problem, I will address it for you. And I promise you're not going to like the way that I do it. Do you understand? Okay, come on. I see that you have a lawyer. I don't know where they are, but we need to get cooking. So, okay. So Mr. Mallard, you're charged with 2 cases. You're charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. You're also charged with resisting arrest. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On March 1st, 2025, at approximately 11:08 p.m., the officer was dispatched to a 911 call regarding a vehicle stopped on the road with the male in the driver's seat passed out on North 8th Street in Harris County, Texas. The officer observed the defendant's vehicle stopped on the road facing the wrong side, forcing multiple vehicles to drive around the defendant's vehicle. The officer observed the defendant's vehicle's engine on, with the defendant sitting in the driver's seat, appearing to be sleeping or passed out. The vehicle was in drive with the defendant's foot on the brake. The officer observed an open container of Bacardi rum, 750 milliliter bottle, approximately 10% full, sitting in the front right passenger seat, and the officer attempted several times to wake the defendant unsuccessfully, which led to the officer being forced to break the defendant's front right window to get into the motor vehicle due to the doors being locked. The officer placed the vehicle into park, and the defendant was asked to step out, who immediately fell to the ground. The officer observed slurred speech, red bloodshot eyes, a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage, and poor balance. The defendant refused any standard field sobriety test, and the defendant advised he had not consumed any alcoholic beverages, wished to speak to his lawyer, and was loudly repeating no consent to all questions. The defendant was read the DIC and refused breath. A blood search warrant was signed and executed. The defendant was transported to HCA Southeast ER to obtain blood, and the defendant refused to exit the officer's motor vehicle, even when the officer asked multiple times. The officer had to physically guide the defendant out of the vehicle, and the defendant stopped walking while walking to the ER with the officer and advised he wanted to go to the Veterans Hospital. The officer advised the defendant he had a search warrant, and the defendant refused to move. The officer grasped the defendant's upper arm and advised the defendant again of the search warrant, and the defendant refused to move. The officer advised the defendant that if he had to pull him inside, he was facing additional charges. The defendant again refused to move. The defendant advised he wanted to go to the VA hospital, and the defendant started pulling away in the direction away from the entrance to the hospital. The officer attempted to pull the defendant to the entrance, and the defendant continued to pull away. The defendant went dead weight and laid down on the ground outside and refused to move while screaming at the top of his lungs, "Someone help me." The officer was assisted by hospital security in placing the defendant in a wheelchair, allowing transport into the hospital, and the defendant's blood was only able to be drawn with assistance of 3 officers holding the defendant down.
My goodness. Can you run his NCIC? Does he also have a felony DWI with a child as well?
It was reduced to a DWI just above a 0.15.
If you have a problem with alcohol, you better address it, Mr. Mallett, because if you don't, I'm going to do it for you. I don't want you out in the middle of the night, and I'm now giving you a curfew. You are not allowed out past 9 p.m. to 6 a.m., and I'm going to put a monitor on your ankle so I know that you're not out in the middle of the night. On your other ankle, I'm going to put a scram monitor so I know that you're not consuming alcohol. Likewise, I don't want you to drive. I am now taking away your privilege to drive as well. You're not allowed to drive. Do you understand?
Judge 96?
Yeah.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand.
Heed this warning. If I find that you drive, I can have a contempt hearing. Every single time that you drive, it's an offense in and of itself, punishable by up to 6 months in jail and a $500 fine. Do you understand? I don't care what the justification is. Jesus comes, needs a ride to church. I don't care. Do not lie. I am also now placing restriction on your license that you.
Excellent. That's all. Cool. I couldn't see them.
I am now placing an additional restriction on your license as well, that you are not allowed to drive any vehicle that doesn't have an ignition interlock on it. If you're caught driving a vehicle, number one, we're going to have issues with this. Number two, I'm sending now notice to DPS in Austin so that they know any vehicle that you drive is supposed to have an interlock in it. So if you're caught driving a vehicle that doesn't have an interlock, they will take you directly to jail. Do you understand? At this time, you're not allowed to drive. So you will get, well, you got the scram, so I'm not going to give you a portable device, but I don't want you drinking at all. This thing is extremely finicky that they're putting on your ankle. So know what you put in your body. Do you understand, Mr. Mallard?
Yes, sir.
If I find that you consume alcohol Anything that has alcohol in it, cakes, candies, foods, gums, energy drinks, hair dye, I've heard it all. If I find that you're consuming, it's really not going to go well. So I'm going to have you come up here, swear to this. After that, I'm going to get you to Ramona, where we will have you sign a reset. I will have you get with Fleischer for your bond conditions, and then we'll have you take a seat while we wait for your guys to get here. Good morning, Mr. Torres. Sir, you're charged with driving while intoxicated, second offense. You're facing up to a year in jail and a $4,000 fine. You have worked out an agreement where they're offering you 50 days in jail with credit for the 2 days that you've done. You need to understand that this charge is going to go on your record. It's going to be there for the rest of your life. It's even there after you die. This is important because if you ever get pulled over again and you smell like alcohol, you smell like dope, what's going to happen? Up to 10 years. Cops don't care if you're falling down, stupid ass drunk. You don't have to be like that. Just the faintest smell of alcohol, you get pulled over, an officer's going to run your license. They're going to say DWI, DWI. Well, he's probably DWI again. Put him in. 2 to 10 in the penitentiary next time. If I were you, even if you've had a sip of alcohol, I wouldn't get into a car. It is a huge risk. Not to mention how much money you pay for all this. You know what I mean? $40. Uber will take you anywhere you want to go. Don't matter where you want to go. $40. Use it. You have the right to a trial, right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf, confront and cross-examine your accusers. If you're not a citizen, there are possible immigration consequences. You can be deported, excluded from the country, denied naturalization. You give up the right to appeal. Once you plead guilty, it will go on your record. You can never take off. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I didn't plead to the offense guilty or not guilty. Yes. I'm going to find you guilty. I have to suspend your license. I will suspend it for a year. Do not drive until you get a license. Now, when did he want to report for the jail time?
The 24th, Your Honor, 2 weeks from today.
Okay. You must report by 6 p.m. on that day. If you fail to report, I will issue a warrant for arrest. And then you're looking at up to a year in jail. Do you understand? So to report by 3/24 at 6 p.m.
And Your Honor, I don't know if you're, I don't want to interrupt you, but just regarding court costs, if you would consider running them concurrently. I was retained, but Mr. Torres is in, I believe he's indigent. He's on SSI, he's on disability. And he also uses Medicare for his insurance. He's not working because he has a.
You know, in life, we are allowed to make mistakes, right? But when you continue to make mistakes where you endanger other people's lives, everything gets just so much worse. You know, I routinely, when I have a DWI first, I routinely run court costs because there's also a surcharge on your license of $3,000, perhaps $4,500 if you have a high breath test. It's a $6,000 surcharge on the DWI second. Why would I continue to reward you? What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a stay at home.
You don't work? What's the nature of your disability?
From the car accident.
He has it's a broken.
Because of your car accident in this case?
No, previous one.
Previous.
He had one in 2011, Your Honor.
And now we're here on DWI second? Was it due to another DWI?
Yes, Your Honor.
When do we learn? When do we learn? What, is it going to take a death? Lose a foot? What happened in the accident?
I'd be life-flighted.
Holy crap. Are you lucky to be alive?
Sir.
And here we are yet on a DWI, a new DWI. I'm suspending your license for 2 years. I don't want you anywhere near a car. Don't drive. You scare me when you get into a car. You're lucky to be alive. Much less, what about the rest of our, what? You know, my family's on the road all the time. I had a good friend a year ago die from a DWI. What? The reason that we have all these surcharges are because sometimes jail is not enough to get your attention. So now the legislature has made it to where somehow we got to get these people's attention. So let's just start hitting them where it really hurts, and that's in the pocketbook. This is a $6,000 surcharge, not to mention court costs, $6,500 that you'd be rolling out of here with. What do you think? They want me to roll the court costs. I will make you a deal. I want to see something proactive because I'm not sentencing him yet, and I can continue to sentence until the 24th of this month. Show me some proactivity so that we know it's not going to happen again, and I'm happy to roll the court costs. But I want to see something proactive from you so we know that you've learned something. Don't write me a letter. I get enough letters. I don't need a letter. I want something really proactive on your part that shows me that it's not going to happen again. We're not going to see that you've learned something from this. And if you can be proactive, show me something, then I'll waive your $6,500 in fines and fees. And this is important because if you don't pay it, every $100 you owe, you will sit one day in jail. So you can imagine how long you will sit on a $6,500 surcharge. You have 2 weeks to really knock my Aunt Connie's socks off. Do you understand? Okay.
Okay.
All right. Got 2 weeks. Yep.